people understand that.
I know, and that's what LA was saying,
So
the call-offs were when they were called.
It has affected both the supervisors and the staff.
Yeah,
in a
I
way,
agree, and that's on
because
my
it's
list.
not only affecting us because sometimes I call a staff
Yes,
and leave a message
yeah,
and they show up and say, I didn't get it.
yes,
And there's nothing I can do.
Yeah.
Sometimes you text them, they respond.
yeah. I don't, you can do both.
I've had a staff and say, are you available to work in March of 2017?
Yeah.
Which day? They said yes. And that day they didn't show up. And they said, no, I didn't tell you I will. That's the evidence.
Yeah, no,
so
I
it
don't-
works for both of us.
And I'm not
So
discouraging
they can
that.
include both texting,
Right,
not denying calls.
Yeah.
Calls allowed, but they say include it in the policy to reflect the contemporary situation we are facing. At least it will help.
There's a lot of people, I guess especially around my age, that don't respond to phone calls. Like,
Right.
I have friends that if you call them, they don't answer you the voicemail, but you text them, and 2 seconds later they reply.
but if they're job seeking,
I know that, and I know that, but so sometimes it's the same thing. If you call them, you leave a voicemail.
But we can't make up the rules for
right,
how we work. We only have to follow the policy.
yeah,
And until the people above me makes the changes to those rules,
right,
I have to train and follow
Right.
what is in writing.
right.
So the modern technology is good. I love texting to people who I can text to and it's not affecting my job.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the staff, and I have text back to staff, and it's up and down, they never got my text back.
Yeah.
So that's
Do you want
the
$1,000?
I can't do anything with a text.
Have to pay for text.
How about emails? When is it not, okay, when is it, see, they texted you about it, didn't they?
Yeah.
When is it not appropriate to use email at work?
Emergency,
Huh?
emergency situation.
When you're sitting in the same, like, vicinity as somebody
Yes.
else.
Unless, like, I have to give you a list, like, sometimes I will email Norma, who's next to me, but I say, would you look up blah, 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 so she has a list in front of her. And I'll say, oh, we have this intercom, call intercom, you know, hey Norma, I just sent you an email about X. So then, but yeah, some people will, use email when it's not necessary, when we could speak. When else?
If something you need right away, or an emergency.
Yeah, when it's an emergency. Sometimes people might be in meetings all day and not get that email. You know, you never want to email, call 911. No. I think it's also, we got to think about what is the message. Some messages are face-to-face kind of messages, if they're intuitive or hard messages, right? Those don't do well in emails, do they? And do you guys ever read an email and then have someone else read it, and the both of you have this completely different interpretation of the emotion behind the email? Like sometimes I'll read an email from a certain person and I'll read that there's torque in it, that they're twisting it and making me feel bad. Someone else will read it and like they don't know what I'm talking about. So emails need to be about facts and about documentation and not so much about feelings, because you can't communicate a feeling very well in email without writing pages and pages. Are long emails and texts effective? Generally speaking, no. And why? Because people will read half to 3/4. Even people without ADHD don't have the attention span to sit on their phone with 1,000 scrolls, you know, reading the email.
You get some emails as conversations.
Yeah, oh, isn't that kind of goofy? Pick up the phone,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, I've got emails where folks I shouldn't have gotten because it wasn't intended for me. And I've been guilty of that myself, pushing, thinking that I got the right person and then I send it off. And now I've got Joe Smo's business sitting right in front of me and I'm like,
Yeah.
so I'm aware as Joe Smo is when he signed his email that
Did you guys
You
ever
didn't want
send
this
an
out
email
there.
you wish you didn't send? You
Oh,
hit
yeah.
send before you
Yeah.
thought?
Oh, shouldn't have pressed that button.
Yeah. Norm will tell you, I often ask her to read things because I don't want any torque in it. You know, sometimes because I'm a thinker, I'm like, hey, blah, 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 but not, hi, how you doing, what's happening, you know. I forget the niceties in an email, that if I saw you personally, I would say, hi, who are you supposed to go to NEIS? But,
Folks that bash people, you can't
she's
help
texted,
but
so
bash.
she missed it. So,
Oh, no, I'm not
email,
Good, how are you?
I'm just teasing you. No, it's okay, you're allowed. I know what you're doing. She just got a medical emergency on a text, that was a good thing, so I'm not criticizing.
Emails you read.
I did, and I have tested, and everything seems fine.
You could feel what the person is saying,
Yeah.
it's mean.
Yeah.
Or it's like you're angry.
Yeah.
You know,
And you,
those come through every now and then.
Okay, thank you so much for following up.
You know,
and sometimes when you call them, they're not mad.
I send a lot of those emails, I'm not angry,
Yeah,
I'm just directed to.
well, you're a head person like me, so I'm just kind of to the point, and here's the business of what I'm trying to say. And sometimes people are used to,
But a
hi,
sensitive person would be like, oh, wow,
yeah,
she's kind of bad.
that's a heart person you're talking to. Heart people don't like head people emails, because they're not, you know, we don't take the time to do that. I apologize, I'm feeling bad. I apologize for that crap, because I didn't mean to imply that.
No, you're okay.
Okay.
But one thing that people have to remember in an email is to tell the rest of us where their head is.
No.
I'll get an email with 2 sentences and I have no clue what the person is talking about.
That's me, I send those.
Well,
So
other
I'm-
people do it too. They kind of don't tell you, oh, this and, you know, this
Yeah.
is the person I asked you about last week and,
Yeah, because I forget that she's not thinking the same thing I'm thinking, you know. You're right, we do have to do that. Tell me about the worst text you ever got. Least appropriate text. Something they shouldn't have been in a text message.
Work related?
Yeah. Yeah, because let's not even get into that other stuff.
I think I told my car.
Oh, yeah, you texted
That's the
her.
text I get Friday night and I'm replying like, what? What?
Did you hear that? She texted Norma, I think I totaled my car.
She forgot that I'm alive or I'm okay.
Yeah. I'm in an ambulance right now. What else have you gotten texts about that you wish you didn't? Or that you texted? Staff ever send you a text like in one sentence and make it sound like the earth is falling down? And when you find out the whole story, it's nothing? I've had that happen.
Well, I don't like those kind of texts that come so late at night,
Yeah,
that the person wanna hold you accountable. I sent you a text 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm
Yeah.
asleep.
oh, I was up
I
looking
didn't
at
hear
my
that
phone.
noise.
Yeah.
I don't know, and that,
The text that's, the text that lingo.
Oh, yeah,
All of
you
that.
don't understand what it
Yeah,
is.
I have staff that constantly does that, and I call them and it's just like, what are you talking about?
In my phone, I can voice my text, so I press the microphone and I say what I want the text to say, and it copies it.
But that's not always good either because sometimes it says things that you did not
Well,
say.
that's what I was gonna say.
And you're like,
You better check.
what?
And if I send it before I edit it, it will say things, or autocorrect will sometimes say things you don't mean to say. So for me, I'm just reminding myself that I need to look at my texts and my emails before I send them. Because I have a tendency, I type really fast, my mind goes fast, I work fast. There's some really good things about that because I can be highly productive, but there are errors in it that need to be corrected before they go out, because then you gotta waste time correcting your error. So better to take a minute, you know? So before I give communication, I have to ask myself, am I angry or resentful right now? Am I feeling retaliatory? If I am, I may want to meditate for a minute or take a few, because sometimes I think that when I feel that way, you can read it, even though I'm not trying to express that to you. And sometimes my frustration has nothing to do with you. Like yesterday, I had fallen on the steps on the ice at home, and I had a dislocation of my pride, and I was mad that it happened, and I had had 2 back surgeries a few years ago, and I don't want anything to go wrong because my back has been great. So I'm nervous about that, and then I had a couple things happen that annoyed me, and so I'm annoyed, and my daughter calls and says, will you take me, because she didn't get her driveway plowed. She makes more than I do and could not figure out how to get her driveway plowed, so you can tell that irritated me. Wants me to take her to get a gift certificate for her boyfriend because it's his birthday, right before I'm getting together with my friend. So I go to do that, and then I said, I feel resentful about you not plowing your driveway, and that was really good. You know, I contained it, and it was appropriate, and then I went off. And it's like, you know, I wasn't really mad at her. I was mad about my back. I was mad about my car wreck. I was mad, not a bad wreck, just a car scratches. I was mad about a lot of other things and frustrated, but you know, it came out on her.
Right.
So I gotta watch when I'm frustrated, you know, what it is I say or do. And there's certain people at work that I know I can unload with. And they know that I don't mean anything by it. I'm just getting rid of my frustration, and they do the same with me, right?
Because you have a relationship.
Yeah, and then when I get settled again, because you know what? I hate to tell you this, but New Avenues is not about Jane Plank. This place is not about me. The things that happen here are not about me. They're not. What's happening here is, can I be of service in any way to the employees here? That's my job. I'm just here to serve. And so to let all that stuff give free rent in my head to the craziness is insane. Because I could be happy, joyous, and free any day I pick. I do not have to allow these things to join the committee up there. But I do sometimes, so I have to ask. The other thing I have to ask myself is, what's the best way to communicate this? If there's a lot of facts, an email is very good. If there's a little bit of facts, maybe a text or an email is good. If it's an emotional communication, or if it's a conversation where I expect us to talk to each other to come to an understanding, that's a phone call or a face-to-face, right? Could it be misunderstood by anyone? Again, that's why I have people edit my emails. When I send an email out to all of you about something, I want to check first. In fact, I need to send an email out to everyone today about a workers' comp change. I told Tom I wanted him to read it first because you guys have been doing something for 29 years. And I know that what we need to change because of a change in regulations is going to be different. So I want to make sure that I'm not just coming off it. You guys have been doing it wrong all this time, and I know better than you, what needs to be done. I just wanted to say this is what's happening, and I need your help,
And that's good, because I'm going to bring it out to you. You can't have us do stuff for
No,
many years one way, and all of a sudden, something go wrong, and we follow it that way, and you say, well, why did you do it that way?
and I
don't
totally
agree with people
appreciate
doing it
that.
way. But the bottom line, this is the way you train.
Right, I
So if
know.
you're going to change things, put it out to us in advance to say,
Process is so important, Sharon. It's not what we do, it's how we do. When I worked at the Norwood Center, we got a huge Medicaid cut, and instead of telling the staff what we were going to do, we got all the staff and the managers together, and we came up with ideas. We found ways to make more money. We decided no one would lose their job. That was one of our values about how we were going to do it. But the staff participated in it. When we had a small pay cut, no one was mad. But that's because they were in the process. Process is so important. You can't do things to people. You got to do things with people. What I ask myself before I open my mouth or write with my pen is this kind and is it necessary? Because people, if I'm not kind to you, are you going to be kind to me? I mean, somewhere inside of here, in the insanity that I sometimes see, I gotta be my highest, best self. I have to get above and beyond other people's struggles and be kind and generous. And appreciate that I'm just another person on earth. I'm not anybody special. Yeah.
With that being said, it makes me think of something. And my staff, directing staff, sometimes they want to let us know all the problems and concerns. Like, just give us a whole list of, their problems outside of this job.
Yeah.
I'm listening, but I'm not listening at the same time. And a couple of my staff, they get a little upset with me because because I'm not taking it all in.
Call Jane in Human Resources, we have an EAP.
I was just gonna say, here's the
And I
impact part.
would love to support them, but you know, if you direct
But they,
them,
you know, they feel like I'm being insensitive or I don't want to hear them, I'm not listening.
you just say,
But
I'm not qualified to
same
help
time-
you with that, call Jane.
No, I would tell them, I'm not giving you my list of issues and
Yeah.
concerns outside of the work, you know, outside of the
Yeah.
job, so I don't expect you to do that with me. You have to.
And another answer sometimes is, when you tell me, this is what I will also tell staff, if I'm the group home manager or if I'm, you know, a team leader, I might say, you know, when you share your personal information with me, it could affect employment decisions about you. And it's not in your best interest to share those things with me, because if you want to get a promotion, you know, you just told me that your husband beats you. And he lives around the corner from Stephen Presser. So you want to be the new assistant team leader or Presser, I can't withhold that information, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't want somebody's husband running over here.
I've actually had that happen when staff come in with bruises, marks,
Yeah.
black eye.
But-
And that's an EAP thing too, when you
Oh,
see it.
most definitely.
I had probably
Helped her
hop
out.
on the husband beating them. But my thing is, I'm not gonna have a boyfriend and girlfriend on campus here,
Yeah.
working together, and then here comes the wife saying,
Yeah,
this, that, and that. I have experienced that as
Me
well,
too.
where they're coming and tearing up cars and all this kind of stuff, or shooting at people.
yeah. I had
So I
midnight
can't have that
porno
here
man.
around. So I'm gonna tell you, that's one of my big pet peeves. If I find out that you have got a relationship with one of your peers under my supervision, I hop on that quickly.
Yeah.
And I will make staff know.
I
it
better
will
not know
happen
it
this
in any
building.
way, shape, or form.
No,
Better not come across your work.
absolutely.
I agree
So
with that.
that's where
Because I had that
react.
situation too. I
Yeah.
had that happen in Gary a couple years ago.
Not good.
Oh,
Am I helping or hurting? If I can help you, I will. If I can hurt you, I won't. I don't know about you, but when I'm mad, I want to hurt you. I just gotta tell you. That's how I feel immediately right then until I process it, right? You hurt me, I want to get you back. I grew up with 3 brothers. You know, I know how to hurt you. Because it was survival. But that's not who I am anymore. I want to be of service. I want to try to help if I can. And if I can get out of that space, it really helps me. Another question, do I want to wait to hit send or to say it? Should I check with someone else before I say it? And if I have that doubt, you know, I personally am a spiritual person. And I believe that I was born knowing right from wrong. And that is kind of God's smoke detector. When your stomach hurts, when your throat closes, to me that means don't do it, Jane, right? It's a message to me, whether you believe in God or not, it's a message to me that something isn't right. And when I go ahead and hit send, or I don't check with someone, how does it usually turn out? Egg on the face, right? And here we thought it was going to feel better because it was going to be revenge, right? How does revenge really feel? Don't answer, Ellen.
Hey, Tom, that table, the camera's hitting me behind
I didn't
that.
even know it was.
Sorry.
So,
We have them over here.
the final test of what we write or what we say is, would I want to see this on Carl Monday's show or on the front page of the newspaper? Because anything you email or text here is not private, whether you think it is or not. It is recorded, it is in a server. Darwinic can tell you where that server is located. People can subpoena it. And it can be known to all forever. So if you haven't done these things, you might want to start at the top. And think about it. I always, when I make decisions, I always think about, could I explain this to a judge in a courtroom? How many of you have had to testify in a courtroom or have had a deposition? You have, Tom, lots of times. They don't play, do they?
No, it's usually because somebody, one of our staff is a.
Yeah. And when they start asking you questions, all of a sudden this hearsay and this he said, she said, and all that kind of stuff, your backing is gone. So ask ourselves those questions before we communicate with each other, and I think we'll be in good shape. Okay. So you can have all the communication skills that we talked about, and you can follow all the principles that we discussed, and for the most part, we agreed on them, right? How this is done. Did I tell anybody anything they didn't already know today? No. Why did I do it then?
We need to hear it.
And because we're in a group, and as a group, we're agreeing, right? This is what we want to do. We have to be the messenger of all for one and one for all in order for good communication to take place. I have to trust that you're not going to hurt me if I tell you about a mistake I made. You know, if I did something in your paperwork or something, or your benefits got hurt, you know, we can work that out. But I have to trust that you're not going to call an attorney over it, right? If it can be resolved. So we all have to be for each other, and New Avenues should not be attacking New Avenues. You know, the workshops against the group homes, we're all one. And when we do that, it's like eating your own foot. You're going to need that foot to be walking on, you know? So we're all part of a larger organization. We may not agree with each other all the time, and nobody expects us to. That's an unreasonable expectation. But we all have to be for the mission of serving the person with a disability and doing it the best that we can with excellent services. And that's what we all have to be about. So we don't have to agree with each other, we don't have to like each other, but we all have to carry that mission. And we have to, when I say one for all, it means the mission. That's what we're following. Organizational communication is a partnership. That means that we have to be engaged with each other in a commitment to communicate. If everybody has their own little silo in their own little room and they're not going to communicate, then there's going to be people left out, and there's going to be things that don't get communicated well. It's a big challenge here because we have facilities in 3 counties. We have people on 3 shifts, right? And some of our facilities we don't own. Some of our facilities are family homes where we go into their homes, so it's very difficult to control. What I said earlier about let it begin with me. So I have to take responsibility for myself and how I do it. I have to try to be an example to someone else. And if I'm not doing the things we talked about that frustrate us, and it's working for me, then maybe someone else will say, hey, maybe I'll lay off that for a while. And to remember that we cannot change other people, places, and things, but we can change environments. It is possible to create an environment for your staff of personal responsibility. But we have to think about what messages do we give staff when we do what we do? And what are they perceiving, when that occurs? If I sent out a message to all the staff and it said, I am sick and tired of everybody being tired and late, I'm going to start firing people. So what do people feel then about that? Hopeless, maybe?
And the people who weren't late feel really hopeless.
Yeah, because now, what if I am late sometime, or what if I am fired? But we send out communications all the time with that same sound. But if I say to my staff, if I visit each one of your homes, and I say, you guys help me figure out how we can solve this attendance problem. And we listen to the ideas that the staff have, and we have that discussion with the staff. Isn't that a different kind of communication that we're having? It's a different message. What it says is that I can create the leadership to provide an environment where people can solve problems. Like I said, managing staff is just behavioral program. What environment do I create? I have to ask myself that. I can tell you right now, well, you tell me, because you guys do behavioral programs. Does it work to make people do things in the program that they don't want to do? Is that working for you? Let me do that. What do you have to do if you want to help somebody to learn a new skill? What do you put in the program?
Something that'll benefit.
Enforcement, or sometimes it has to be the other way.
Well, it's either avoidance or reinforcement, to avoid this or get this, right? Very simple principle. So what are the messages that we're giving staff? You know, are we reinforcing them for the behaviors that we want to see? I don't know, but I know this, punishment does not work. There's so many studies published on that. If you punish someone, they avoid the punisher, which means they get sneakier. How many of you have kids? So you get on your kid's case about eating stuff after school that's gonna spoil their dinner, does that keep them from doing it? No, they just do it when you're not looking.
Right,
They get better at sneaking.
right.
So what we wanna do is include staff. We wanna create an environment where it's safe to admit that you made a mistake, where you have an opportunity to be empowered to make your own decisions, and where we hold ourselves responsible and the team holds people responsible. That's what self-directed teams are all about. So in your situation, if your staff said, well, we want to be the only home to have perfect attendance this year, and there's an award to get there, why are you saying that? Why not? Do you think, what would happen if you changed your leadership to that? Do you think?
But if there's,
I disagree. Yes.
If we don't stay within the policy realm and we come out of that zone, and we start to use that, which we have,
Right.
but it's not those individuals who are always cooperative, it's the individuals who are not. They are the ones who always make it difficult for the other ones. I don't know it for the life of me, besides the numbers of times I've told staff, if you don't sign off on this, if you don't sign off on that, you're gonna receive disciplinary action. There are other folks that look at this, that. And I still get the same results only from those individuals who are non-cooperative from the start.
Right. But do you write them up?
Yes,
Absolutely.
because I have to stay within the realms of the policy.
And your other staff appreciate it,
For the
right?
good ones.
Right.
It's
Let me not use attendance as an example. If we want our staff to achieve something in the home that's valuable to the home, we don't do it by writing an email to them or leaving them a note. We do it by getting their support and their buy-in to those things, and there's ways to do that. And there's a couple modules down, we're gonna be talking about leadership, and how you provide that leadership. I have done this job. I know what it's like to supervise people who don't make a lot of money. And I know what it's like to supervise people who are working very, very hard for not a lot of money. So I'm not trying to paint a My Little Pony rainbow thing here, but I am saying that we can always do better. I can always do better. We can always do better. We can try new things, and we can do the best we can to create that environment of personal responsibility. Questions, comments?
Can that be our next train? Because I need to know how to,
Talk to me, I'd love to.
and,
Yeah.
to be able to get them to, I mean, if discipline don't work for you, that means you just don't care.
But I have to say, you
Because
know
I
what?
take pride in
If
what I
your
do. I
staff
want
don't
to
have their own inner pride, I don't care what you do,
That's right,
it's not gonna accomplish anything.
right.
So you have to have a staff today to say, look, this is where we work, we're here for these guys to make them better than they, as best as they can be. If they don't have that same mindset, or that same premise, or that same self-pride, you've lost them.
Right.
You can write them up till they're out the door,
Yes,
but it's gonna be a continual write-up.
right,
But that's that's how you thin the herd of the ones.
right.
If you hire 10 people, there will always be someone in there who doesn't have that inner pride, and there's always gonna be a disruption, and eventually it just paper trails them out,
No
so
matter
that you
what
can
you
get
do.
find somebody.
There's a guy, the guy who started Visa credit cards says, and I believe him, ordinary people often do extraordinary things. To lead is to create those circumstances. And we're gonna have a module on that, but I'd love to talk with you about that. I would,
You spend 80% of your time with 20% of your people.
yeah.
There's a certain percentage that you're not gonna change.
Yep.
Because they don't have the wherewithal, personality, or character-wise to do it. Because you have to have policies, rules, and standards so that you treat people equally and fairly. But that other 80% of your staff will respond much better to reinforcement rather than discipline or punishment.
That's true, yeah.
I have staff that we didn't, always see eye to eye on everything, she likes having that. So for the last, year or so, I've been saying thank you and you're doing a good job. Oh, I like the way you've done this. And now I see a difference. Her attitude is
It
changed.
changes things. I'm doing that same thing right here. There's someone here, and I don't know what the issue is, but I don't see much happiness. So I'm always saying, it's another day in paradise. Have a good day. I like your shirt. I'm starting to get a little smile, just a little one. But a lot of times it is just about giving someone some space and saying, I appreciate you, you know?
The it's different. I mean, she responds to me different. You know, it's like the respect is there. I can see that the respect is there.
And when someone has made the hair on the back of my neck go up, this is not a good time to solve a problem. It's not, because I'm not doing well. I'm already not who I want to be. I want to be, fair and equitable and centered when I communicate with someone. I don't want to be, like that. So anyway, well, I appreciate your participation today, and I want to give you time to get a little lunch before the meeting, so we will close. Thank you very much.
Where's the sign-in sheet?
Sign-in sheet is here if you missed it. Oh, it's over there. Anyone missed the sign-in sheet?
I did.
Oh.
Gary's in your house?
Did anyone else not sign in?
These are like behind, I don't think they're his, but I didn't know if any of your other guys wore gloves like these.
No, I haven't seen anything like that, no.
Sorry.
I'll ask and see. You don't think those, well, you have his name in it somewhere. What?
I didn't say a word. I didn't say a word.
Stop.
I always stop when I see you. I always stop.
They don't have anyone's name on it.
No, I know that. I mean, you,
Not
and
in
like,
the, I don't
I think
remember.
it's only you and one of your people that have this stuff.
I said, what the heck?
Let me check and see.
Okay.
But I
I should be able to give them to you.
Okay. I'm gonna be in my office if anyone.
And you've had a bunch of people bringing it. I can do theirs.
I'm not saying anything. I think there's a color difference. That make us not look alike. And maybe a difference. Margaret, where? I don't know, Tom.
What?
Perpetuate the fraud over there. Yeah.
Do what?
If it's not in the file, she's gonna have to find it. I think all the other people of yours, I do have.
Maybe. I don't know where those 6 kids came from.
She won't even go there.